The current champions of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations is South Africa. They'll be returning to the 2024 WAFCON to defend their title on the same soil they won it in Morocco. This time, however, some teams are stronger, others more hungry, and it's expected to be a difficult journey in their path to defend their title. But here's a full preview for Team South Africa going into the WAFCON.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Banyana will be making their 13th consecutive appearance at this tournament, being the only team alongside Nigeria to qualify and play in every single edition since it started in 1998. It's however had to take them 4 times being the runners-up of the competition and 24 years to win their first ever title in 2022. And now, after they have tasted how it feels like to be champions, they would not want to relinquish it. South Africa have presented their strong team for the WAFCON in Morocco. The seriousness in wanting to defend their title is having 15 players who won the last edition, that is in 2022, also in this team. But there are some experienced names who have actually retired from football since that time. One is Janine van Wyk, who was the captain of the team back in 2022. She became the most capped player of all time in African women's football, 185 caps, and she retired in 2023 after hitting her peak level for South Africa. Then there is also Noko Matlo, who made 174 appearances for South Africa. She actually started as a forward back in 2006, but later on in her career, she got transitioned to play as a centre-back, where she maintained her position for a lot of years, very consistent for them, and she retired earlier this year in 2025. But even aside the two legends, there are also some key players and also familiar faces who we wouldn't be seeing at the 2024 WAFCON. Thembi Kgatlana was the 2018 African Best Player of the Year. She's currently the South African player with the most goals amongst the active players. She is leading in terms of goals. She has always been an inspiration when it comes to goals for South Africa, scoring at various tournaments from the AFCON to the Olympics to the World Cup, but she wouldn't be at this year's WAFCON for personal reasons, and she even had to pull out of activities with her club also because of these same personal reasons. Melina Khadiete of Mamelodi Sundowns also played a very crucial role in the last WAFCON tournament. She also played quite a crucial role, integral bit in the last World Cup, but she wouldn't be at this WAFCON for South Africa. Then there's also no Isabella Ludwig, a very young midfielder who had a breakthrough year this year and even got a transfer to play for Mamelodi Sundowns ladies. But after showing glimpses of her quality with the South African national team in some friendly games, she couldn't make the final cut to the WAFCON. There was also no space for Shakara Umali, who was another of the young players who had their breakthrough seasons this year. She's also had a few appearances for South Africa, impressed during the friendly games, but then young player, new to the team, and she couldn't make the cuts to the WAFCON. But for the team who will be going to the tournaments, well, they are experienced, very experienced and quality players. One is Hilda Magaya, who is called the breadwinner of the team because she's actually the breadwinner. She was the lady who scored the goal, a brace actually, in the final of the last WAFCON final, which won South Africa the title. She was the top scorer for South Africa at the last World Cup. So she is a player who comes in clutch and knows how to get the goals when it matters the most. She also even scored a couple of goals for her club, Tijuana, in Mexico. Then there's Linda Motlao, who is the skillful and creative force for South Africa's team. Linda was actually the player who got the goal in the semi-final of the last WAFCON, which qualified them to the final. And this season, playing for, that is, Glasgow City in Scotland, they finished second place in the just-ended league. Then there is Jermaine Seposenwe, who is one of the most experienced players in this team, having made over 100 appearances for South Africa's women's national team. Jermaine was actually the player who scored the only goal which qualified South Africa to the last World Cup in 2022. And even for this season, she won the Mexico League with her club Monterrey, scoring 12 goals for them. Unfortunately, she has announced that this will be her last appearance for South Africa, so she'll be retiring from international football after this tournament, and it will be the last time we'll see her play for Banyana. There are also a host of other quality players in this team for South Africa, but leading them will be the 4-time African Best Women's Coach of the Year, Desiree Ellis, who is also the defending champion in terms of coaches for the WAFCON, who will be leading them to this tournament. South Africa have had a very good form in the lead up to the WAFCON. So they have won all the last 7 friendly games they played, won all of them. But there are a host of problems which might affect them at this competition. And one of them is the team having to deal with unpaid wages. So recently they had to boycott training because the players are not paid their wages. And another factor that could maybe affect them is how they haven't really changed their team, the face of their team. After winning the last edition, they haven't really added a lot of the young players to their team. And there's a concern whether the players who will be going to this year's WAFCON will be a bit complacent when they head to the competition. But at the WAFCON, they're in group with Ghana. Also in their group is Mali. Then also we have Tanzania in the same group as South Africa. And in this group, they're expected to really advance to the next stage because all the teams in their group have shown some inconsistent performance in their recent games. Mali are yet to play any recognized friendly since 2025 began. And in the 4 competitive games they have played in 2025, well, they won 2, they lost 1, and then they drew 1. For Tanzania, they have played just 3 friendly games in all of 2025, which they won 2. But they lost the last one by 4-0 to Morocco. But don't forget, Tanzania are the current champions of East Africa. Then for Ghana, they have played 8 friendly games in 2025, but they won just 3 and lost 4 of them, playing just 1 draw. So the prediction is for South Africa to finish top of this group. But you can let me know your thoughts and how far you think South Africa are really going to go at this WAFCON in the comments.